Hello there, sleepy traveler. I'm glad you found your way back into this quiet corner of the universe, where the only thing you need to do now is let your mind loosen its grip on the day. Whatever you carried with you, worries, noise, unfinished thoughts, you can gently set them down beside you. They won't be needed for a while. Tonight, we begin another calm drift through the solar system, a journey designed not to excite, but to soften, soothe, and slow your inner world until it finally settles into stillness. Take a breath with me, slow, unhurried, like the quiet turning of a distant moon. As your lungs expand, imagine drawing in the cool darkness of space, and as you exhale, let warm starlight melt through your thoughts. Each breath becomes a gentle reset, like a cosmic tide, rolling in and out. With every exhale, your shoulders relax, your mind unwinds, and the weight you didn't know you were carrying begins to lift. Tonight's journey isn't about facts the way you might find them in a classroom. It's about the feeling behind them, the kind that reminds you how vast and calm the universe really is. Out here, distances stretch longer than your imagination, temperatures fall to impossible lows, and sunlight travels for billions of seconds just to touch the frozen edges of our cosmic home. Everything moves slowly, everything breathes quietly, and everything exists in a rhythm you can fall asleep to. So, let's float together gently deeper into this cosmic night. Imagine yourself drifting beyond Earth, past the comforting pull of gravity, gliding upward until the sky turns from blue to indigo, and then to the velvety blackness of open space. Below you, the world becomes a small glowing marble, familiar, fragile, beautiful. Above you, the universe opens like a vast and silent ocean. Our first stop is not a planet or a moon, but a feeling, the sensation of leaving Earth behind. The noise fades, the urgency fades, the boundaries fade, and what remains is an endless calm, a stillness so complete that even your heartbeat seems to slow to match it. There's no wind here, no sound, no hurry, only the soft glow of distant stars, each one a tiny lighthouse in the infinite dark, guiding your thoughts toward deeper rest. As you settle into this quiet orbit, let your breath steady, let your mind unclench, and let the universe, with all its ancient patience, hold you for a moment, just like this, because from here on, the solar system will unfold before you one sleepy fact at a time, each one a gentle step deeper into relaxation. Now that you've settled into this quiet drift, let's let the first gentle wonder of our solar system come into view. Out here, distance doesn't behave the way it does on Earth. Things can be unimaginably far away, yet still connected by the faintest threads of gravity, magnetism, and ancient light that has been traveling across the dark for ages. And in this stillness, a soft blue world begins to emerge. Neptune, the keeper of the deep cosmic winds. Imagine approaching this distant planet, not rushing, not pushing through space, but gliding toward it the way a feather drifts downward through air. Neptune doesn't blaze with bright color. Instead, it glows softly like a blue lantern wrapped in thin clouds. Its surface isn't solid, and its atmosphere blends into deeper and deeper layers until light can no longer escape. But what makes Neptune so quietly astonishing is the motion hidden beneath that calm appearance. Because here, at the farthest edge of the known planets, where sunlight is weak and the cold is severe, Neptune's winds move faster than sound. They race across the cloud tops at over 2,000 kilometers per hour, carving storms the size of Earth into its swirling blue atmosphere. But despite their unimaginable speed, nothing feels violent from up here. The storms move like slow, spiraling brushstrokes, drifting in and out of view with a grace that feels almost hypnotic. As you watch, imagine the winds below, long ribbons of invisible force sweeping across the planet in silent loops. There is no air to carry sound, so even a storm larger than continents makes no noise at all. Just motion, just rhythm, just a deep, unbroken calm, as if the planet itself is breathing slowly beneath its bright blue skin. Part of what creates this movement is Neptune's own hidden warmth. Even in a place so cold it seems impossible for anything to stir, the planet releases more heat than it receives from the distant sun. That trapped internal energy rises upward, feeding the currents, stirring the atmosphere, keeping the planet alive with motion in a region where everything else seems frozen in time. In a way, Neptune is a reminder that even in the farthest darkness, there is always a source of inner heat, a quiet flame that doesn't fade. As you drift past, imagine the sensation of being guided by the soft, swirling blue around you. The planet becomes less a world and more a mood, a peaceful dance of color and movement. The storms spiral slowly. The clouds stretch into delicate wisps. The winds blow faster than sound, yet feel gentle from a distance, like the distant hum of something too large, too slow, and too ancient to fully comprehend. Let this image settle in your mind for a moment. A frozen world, yet always in motion. A silent world, yet shaped by the fastest winds in the solar system. A distant world, yet glowing softly like a dream you can drift into. And when you're ready, we'll continue our slow journey inward toward another place that holds its own quiet, ancient wonder. As we drift gently past Neptune and continue our slow glide inward, the light becomes a little warmer, the darkness a little softer. Ahead of us stretches a red world, quiet and watchful, wrapped in dust and carved by ancient storms. Mars appears not in a sudden flash, but in a gradual bloom of rusty color, like a fading ember glowing at the edge of a dying fire. There's something serene about it, a kind of stillness that feels older than anything on Earth. But tonight, we won't rush to its surface. We approach slowly, letting the landscape unfold at its own peaceful pace. And as the planet rotates beneath us, something massive begins to reveal itself. A canyon so wide, so deep, and so long that it stretches farther than entire continents back home. This is Valles Marineris, the largest canyon system in our solar system, a scar across Mars' surface that could swallow the United States from coast to coast. Yet despite its size, nothing about it feels aggressive or violent from up here. Instead, the canyon looks like a series of gentle shadows carved into the planet's surface. Long, dark valleys merge into each other, forming a lacework of cliffs and hollows that reach down deeper than Earth's tallest mountain. At its deepest point, Valles Marineris sinks more than 7 kilometers, deeper than 5 Grand Canyons stacked together. If you imagine standing at the edge of such a place, the air thin and silent, the sun appearing smaller in the sky, you might feel overwhelmed. But from this quiet orbit, the canyon becomes something different. It becomes a reminder of time, slow, patient time, the kind that carves worlds grain by grain, layer by layer. There are no rushing rivers here, no storms that rip through stone. Instead, Mars' ancient crust stretched, cracked, and slowly fell inward, forming these colossal chasms. For billions of years, nothing rushed, nothing hurried. Everything moved at the pace of planets. The walls of Valles Marineris shine in soft red and amber, their edges softened by dust storms that have swept across the surface for millennia. These storms, too, are gentle from above. They rise as faint clouds of powdered rust drift across the plains and settle slowly into every groove. Over time, they've given Mars its signature color, painting the planet in a warm, dusty glow that looks calm and dreamlike in the darkness of space. As you float above this canyon, imagine the silence. No wind you can hear, no birds, no footsteps, only a vast and empty world, still and waiting. The canyon stretches for thousands of kilometers, but there is no sound, no echo, no rush. Just depth, just space, just timeless quiet. And in this quiet, you might notice something comforting, that even the largest scars in the solar system can look peaceful from the right perspective. They become shapes, colors, gentle shadows, marks of a world that has lived through ages you could never count, and that still turns quietly beneath the warmth of a distant sun. Stay here as long as you like, drifting above a canyon wider than imagination, letting your thoughts sink into the calm and steady breath of Mars' ancient surface. When you're ready, we'll continue. There are softer mysteries waiting ahead, stories held in clouds, hidden oceans, and worlds turned sideways in the dark. As we leave the quiet red horizons of Mars behind, a new glow rises gently in the dark ahead of us, not bright, not fierce, but warm and golden, like candlelight seen through a veil of cloud. This is Venus, Earth's twin in size and shape, yet so profoundly different in nature that it feels like gazing at a familiar face through shifting waves of heat. From afar, Venus looks calm, wrapped in smooth, swirling layers of pale yellow and cream. It rotates slowly, wrapped in an atmosphere deeper and denser than anything on Earth, a place where sunlight is softened into a permanent amber haze. But tonight, we won't plunge into its heat. We'll simply drift nearby, observing from a distance where everything becomes gentle, quiet, and softened by space. And as we watch Venus turn beneath us, in its slow-motion rotation, one of its most mysterious qualities reveals itself. The planet has no magnetic field. It's almost strange to imagine. Earth's magnetic field is always there, silently protecting us from solar wind, a shield created deep within our world as molten iron currents swirl through its core. It's invisible, but essential. It keeps our atmosphere in place, guides animal migrations, lights up the sky with auroras, and deflects countless charged particles streaming from the sun. But Venus drifts without such protection, despite its size and composition being so close to Earth's. Something inside Venus is quiet, too quiet for a dynamo to form. Scientists think its core may have slowed or even solidified, preventing the swirling metal currents needed to generate a magnetic field. Without this invisible shield, Venus is exposed. Solar particles strike its upper atmosphere directly, tearing away lighter gases and reshaping it over time. The planet becomes a soft but constant reminder that even a world nearly Earth's twin can evolve into something completely different. And yet, from up here, nothing about Venus feels dangerous or harsh. Instead, the idea becomes soothing in its own strange way. Two worlds beginning with the same ingredients, drifting into two entirely different destinies. It's a gentle lesson written in planetary form, that similarity does not guarantee sameness, and that every world, every person, every drifting soul follows a path uniquely shaped by time and circumstance. If you picture the planet's surface, it might feel extreme, but from this peaceful vantage point, Venus is simply a slow-turning sphere wrapped in golden cloud. The sunlight glows softly across its atmosphere, creating smooth gradients that fade from pale cream to honeyed gold. The clouds swirl in vast, lazy circles, moving much faster than the planet beneath them, like a delicate veil caught in a slow cosmic breeze. Everything moves, but nothing rushes. Even the absence of a magnetic field becomes part of the stillness, a quiet trait belonging to a quiet planet. No active shield, no protective bubble, just a world drifting silently through space, wrapped in clouds and solitude. Think of it this way: where Earth hums with magnetic energy, Venus whispers. Where our planet deflects the solar wind, Venus absorbs it, letting the sun brush directly across its atmosphere in slow, steady strokes. And as the planet rotates backward, taking longer to spin once than it does to orbit the sun, the entire world feels like a slow exhale, a place where time itself seems to stretch and yawn. Let that image settle into your mind. A golden world, quiet at its core. A calm planet, drifting without a shield. A reminder that even in silence, there is beauty. When you're ready, we'll continue drifting through the solar system, moving gently toward more distant mysteries, places where diamonds may fall like rain, and where oceans hide beneath layers of ancient ice. As we drift away from the slow-turning glow of Venus, the light around us cools. Once again, the warmth fades, the golden haze thins, and far ahead, the colors shift into deeper blues, cool, quiet tones that signal our approach toward the icy giants of the outer solar system. These worlds are not hot, not loud, and not hurried. They move through the darkness like ancient lanterns, glowing faintly, breathing slowly, holding their secrets in layers of cold cloud. Tonight, we hover near two of them, Uranus and Neptune. From a distance, they seem calm and unchanging, wrapped in aquamarine light. But beneath their surfaces, far deeper than any sunlight can reach, something extraordinary is believed to happen, something sparkling, quiet, and strangely comforting to imagine. It may rain diamonds here, not the jewels we know on Earth, carefully shaped and polished by human hands, but natural crystals forming in darkness miles beneath the clouds. If you could drift downward, slowly, gently, through the thick atmosphere, you'd pass through layers of methane gas. Under enormous pressure, the methane may split apart, its carbon atoms freed and pushed deeper into the planet's interior. There, as pressure climbs higher and the temperature increases, those lone carbon atoms are squeezed together, forced into tight crystalline patterns. What begins as simple carbon becomes diamond, tiny crystals forming in the dark, growing heavier, drifting downward like shimmering snowflakes, a diamond shower falling in silence. Scientists have recreated small pieces of this process in laboratories, watching in awe as hydrocarbons transformed into diamonds under conditions similar to those deep inside these planets. It's possible that some diamonds melt into exotic oceans of liquid carbon. Others may continue falling, drifting through layers of increasing heat and pressure, eventually settling near the core like a sparkling blanket. It's a strange thought. Worlds where diamonds are not rare treasures, but part of the natural weather, where rain doesn't fall in droplets, but in glittering crystals, sinking quietly into unfathomable depths. Yet from up here, nothing about this feels dramatic or sharp. Instead, it feels peaceful, like imagining a soft, twinkling snowfall drifting through endless blue shadow. No thunder, no lightning, just billions of tiny crystals forming in the quiet darkness, falling without sound through clouds as old as the solar system. Let your mind linger on that image for a moment. Cool, deep blue skies, clouds drifting in layers, and somewhere far below, diamond rain falling in slow motion, sparkling in the faintest hints of hidden light. A world shaped by pressure, a world that squeezes beauty from the simplest ingredients, a world that reminds us that even in the coldest places, something brilliant can form. As we drift past these peaceful giants, let their calm settle over you. The vastness, the slowness, the idea of rain that glitters. Let it lull your mind into softness, the way starlight fades into dawn. Because ahead lies more stillness, more wonder, worlds that shift, crack, sing, and glow in silence. When you're ready, we'll continue our gentle journey inward toward a planet alive, with moving plates, trembling crust, and the deep rhythms that shaped the earth beneath your feet. As we drift away from the icy giants and their silent diamond rain, the universe around us warms again, not in temperature, but in familiarity. Ahead, a blue and white world slowly comes into view, turning gently through space like a marble, suspended in a sunbeam. Earth, you're homed, a place that feels soft and distant from here, wrapped in swirling clouds and slow-moving weather patterns, glowing with the faintest touch of life. But tonight, we're not returning to Earth to think about oceans or forests or cities. Instead, we're pausing to appreciate one of its quiet, hidden wonders, a feature that doesn't scream for attention, yet shapes every continent, every mountain, every sea. Something that moves so slowly you'll never notice it in a lifetime. Something that keeps our world alive in ways you may never have realized. Tonight, we drift above the only planet we know that has plate tectonics. From space, the continents seem still. They look carved into place, unchanging, resting like puzzle pieces on a glowing surface. But deep beneath the crust, far deeper than oceans, mountains, or valleys, the earth is gently, constantly shifting. Huge slabs of rock float on a layer of soft, warm mantle, sliding past one another, colliding, sinking, rising, drifting across millions of years. Its movement, too slow to see, yet powerful enough to shape the entire world. Imagine it, continents gliding like slow ships, inches per year, but over time traveling thousands of miles. Oceans opening and closing, mountains rising as plates collide, then being worn down by rain and wind. Volcanoes forming where deep heat breaks through the crust. Even the air itself, the oxygen you breathe, shaped indirectly by this quiet motion. Earth is not a silent stone. It is a breathing, shifting, living world. Most planets remain frozen in their shapes, solid crusts unmoving, surfaces unchanged for eons. Mars and Venus bear the scars of ancient upheavals, but their internal engines have grown quiet. Their plates no longer drift. Their mountains do not rise anew. Their volcanoes sleep in stillness, but Earth remains active. The ground beneath your feet is always on a journey, even if you never notice. There is something deeply calming about that thought, a reminder that even the surface of the world moves at its own gentle pace. No rush, no hurry, just slow, patient motion, carrying continents like small rafts on a glowing mantle river. From up here, you can almost see the story written in its outlines. The jagged edge of the Americas, the folded ridges of Asia, the long spine of mountains running through Europe, marks of invisible, ancient pressures, marks of a planet shaping itself quietly, constantly beneath the thin film of atmosphere where life grows. Let that image become soft in your mind, a world shifting in silence, a crust moving slowly through deep time, a planet kept alive by gentle, underground breath. From this peaceful orbit, Earth feels less like a place of storms and worry, and more like a calm blue cradle in the dark, patient, steady, ancient. A reminder that even the ground beneath us is part of a quiet cosmic rhythm. When you're ready, we'll continue outward again, drifting towards smaller, quieter travelers, little worlds of rock and dust that wander the solar system with their own surprising companionships, leaving Earth's gentle blue glow behind. We drift once more into the deeper calm of space, where the light thins and the distance grows. Here, far from the crowded orbits of planets, the solar system becomes quieter, empty almost, but not completely still, because scattered throughout this darkness are small wanderers, drifting pieces of ancient rock and metal, remnants from the earliest days of planetary formation. Asteroids, we often imagine them as lone travelers, solitary bodies, silently orbiting the sun. But as you glide through this region, a subtle truth reveals itself. Even these tiny worlds can have companions. Some asteroids are not alone at all. They have moons, little satellites of their own, circling them the way our moon circles Earth. It's a strangely comforting thought, isn't it? Even the smallest, loneliest looking pieces of space debris can be part of a partnership, a quiet, drifting duo moving through the dark together. Imagine floating beside one, a tumbling, irregular chunk of rock, perhaps only a few kilometers wide, its surface pitted from billions of years of impacts. And just beside it, a much smaller shape follows, a tiny moon keeping pace, dancing endlessly around its larger partner. No noise, no light, just gravity performing its ancient choreography. The first asteroid moon ever observed was named Dactyl, circling the asteroid Ida. When a passing spacecraft captured the pair on camera, it proved something remarkable. Even these rugged cosmic leftovers can form relationships, linked not by warmth or intention, but by simple, steady gravity. Since then, dozens more asteroid moons have been found. Some asteroid systems have 2 moons. Some consist of 2 asteroids orbiting each other, locked in a slow, mutual spin like dancers holding hands. Others drift in wide, looping paths, tracing shapes no human has ever seen firsthand. Think about how gentle that motion is. A tiny moon orbiting a tiny world, matching its tumble, adjusting its path for millions of years. No rush, no collision, just patient companionship. From where we float, the pair might look like specks of shadow moving through deeper shadow, their motion almost imperceptible. Yet if you stay long enough, you'd see the moon complete a loop, small and steady, a reminder that even the simplest objects in the universe can have partners, can share their journey, can travel together through cold and endless distances. Let your mind soften into that image, a lone asteroid wandering, a tinier moon circling it in silence, 2 ancient fragments drifting side by side around the sun. There's a tenderness to it, a quiet bond formed not by intention, but by the laws of nature, weaving relationships even in places where nothing alive exists. It's the universe, whispering that even the smallest things can have connections. Even the loneliest travelers can have company. And as we leave these gentle companions behind, drifting toward our next destination, let that thought rest with you. In a solar system so vast, even the tiniest worlds find balance, find orbit, find a way to move together through the dark. Ahead, a new shape begins to glow, a small world with no true atmosphere at all, only a thin ghost of one, a shimmering trace that appears and vanishes again. A world closest to the sun, yet so quiet you could almost miss it. When you're ready, we'll drift toward it. As we move deeper into the inner solar system again, the sunlight grows stronger, more concentrated, like a warm beam slowly intensifying across your skin. But even though the light brightens, the space around us stays calm, quiet, weightless. And there ahead, glimmering like a small metallic bead suspended in the sunlight, is the smallest of the major planets, Mercury. From afar, Mercury looks simple, just a gray, cratered sphere, a world stripped down to its bare essentials. Yet, when you drift up close, you begin to notice something subtle, something almost ghostly surrounding it. Not a true atmosphere, nothing thick or protective like the layers around Earth or Venus, but a faint shimmer, a thin scattering of atoms drifting around the planet in a fragile halo. Mercury has what we call an exosphere, not an atmosphere. It's so thin that the atoms within it almost never collide. They bounce, drift, and disappear into space, only to be replaced by new ones, knocked free from the surface by solar radiation and tiny micrometeoroid impacts. Sodium, potassium, oxygen, all forming a delicate, ever-changing cloud that glows faintly when struck by sunlight. It's not something you could breathe. It's not something you could even see with your eyes. It's more like the faintest trace of dust floating in a sunbeam. And yet, this fragile envelope is Mercury's only shield, a quiet reminder that not all worlds need thick atmospheres to exist in balance. Some drift bare and exposed, warmed by the nearness of the sun, cooled by the endless night, and still they endure in their own ancient, patient way. Imagine hovering just above Mercury's surface. The ground beneath you is deeply cratered, scarred by billions of years of impacts, a landscape that has barely changed since the beginning of the solar system. No wind smooths it, no rain softens it, no atmosphere protects it. Every crater remains, every ridge, every scar, a frozen record of time preserved across eons. Yet despite its silence, Mercury holds gentle contrasts. During the day, the surface bakes at temperatures hotter than an oven. At night, it cools to sub-zero, extremes colder than Antarctica. Such opposites coexist quietly, rhythmically, like the calm inhale and exhale of a sleeping world. And even in a place so harsh, there are beautiful pockets of wonder. Deep within craters, near its poles, craters that never see sunlight, not even for a moment, temperatures drop low enough for ice to survive. Bright patches of frozen water, reflecting radar signals back to passing spacecraft like tiny hidden mirrors in eternal darkness. A world closest to the sun, hiding ice in its shadows. A world without air, wrapped in a ghostly glow. A world that feels ancient, untouched, steady. Let yourself rest in that image for a moment. A small, quiet planet drifting through the sunlight, carrying only the faintest trace of an atmosphere. A planet of extremes, yet perfectly still. A world that whispers rather than speaks. Its exosphere may be thin, but it gives Mercury a softness, a shimmering veil that rises and falls, appears and fades, like a breath you can almost see but never touch. In a solar system full of swirling storms, glowing rings, and drifting moons, Mercury is a reminder of simplicity, of solitude, of how even the smallest worlds can hold entire stories in their silence. When you're ready, we'll leave this tiny gray traveler behind and drift towards something far more luminous, a star that shines so brightly it shapes everything we've seen so far. As we leave Mercury's quiet gray surface behind, the sunlight ahead grows stronger still, gathering into a brilliance so complete that it fills the empty space with a warm, golden hush. You don't feel heat here, not in the vacuum, but you sense the presence of something immense, something ancient, something that has shaped the entire story of our solar system since long before Earth existed. We drift toward the sun, not close enough to feel danger, not close enough for intensity, just near enough to observe gently from a place where its light softens into a warm, calming glow. From this peaceful distance, the sun doesn't roar, it doesn't blaze. It hums steadily, patiently, like a giant heart beating at the center of everything. Its surface flickers with soft patterns, waves, and ripples of plasma drifting like slow tides across an ocean of light. But the true wonder lies deeper, where no human eye can ever see, in the core, where nuclear fusion unfolds endlessly. Every second, the sun converts millions of tons of its own mass into energy, not through violence, but through the quiet, constant merging of atoms, hydrogen becoming helium, light being born from pressure, and heat beyond imagination. That energy takes hundreds of thousands of years to travel from the core to the surface, but only about 8 minutes to reach your face on a warm morning. It's incredible to think that the light touching your skin today began its journey before human civilization even existed. Ancient sunlight, billions of photons drifting outward, finally escaping into the universe to warm a distant blue world. And even though the sun loses a little mass every second, it feels steady and unchanging from here, a constant presence, a gentle lantern holding the planets in place with gravity alone. Everything orbits it, drawn by its weight, held in balance by its pull, from the smallest grain of dust to the farthest drifting comet. Imagine watching the sun from where you float now. It doesn't flicker like a flame. It doesn't pulse like a beacon. It glows with calm consistency, as if it's breathing light instead of air. On its surface, patterns shift, loops of magnetic energy curl upward, dark sunspots drift like slow-moving shadows, and invisible waves ripple outward like soundless music. Scientists study these vibrations through heliosismic observations, using the sun's internal oscillations like a map. The star is always ringing, always singing, in frequencies far below human hearing. It's a strange thought. The sun has a voice we can't hear, a song spread through plasma, a melody written in waves and magnetic rhythms. From this distance, though, all of that activity softens into golden stillness. The sun becomes a calm sphere of warm light, unhurried, unbroken, steady. Its gravity holds the planets as if cradling them, keeping everything in its slow celestial dance. Without the sun, there would be no warmth, no water, no winds, no life. And yet it asks for nothing in return. It simply burns quietly, continuously, as it has always done. Let that image rest with you, a star humming softly, a sphere of ancient fire, a gentle giant losing a tiny piece of itself each second to give life to everything around it. And when you're ready, we will drift away from this warmth into the cold outer shadows, where rings shimmer, storms swirl, and a giant planet loses something beautiful piece by piece. As we drift slowly away from the sun's warm glow, the darkness around us deepens again. Not a threatening darkness, but a calm, velvety quiet, the kind of darkness that feels like a soft blanket settling over your thoughts. And then, far ahead, something begins to shimmer, faint at first, like distant frost catching the light, then growing clearer, revealing one of the most iconic sights in the entire solar system, Saturn. It appears like a dream, a pale golden orb surrounded by graceful rings, so delicate they look almost unreal, like thin brush strokes painted in ice. Saturn doesn't shine with the bright blues of Neptune or the deep reds of Mars. Instead, it glows softly, wrapped in gentle hues of cream and honey, a world that feels calm before you even understand why. But tonight, we won't focus on its size, or its storms, or its moons. Instead, we drift closer to those shimmering rings, the most recognizable feature of this giant planet, and we pay attention to a truth that feels both surprising and strangely comforting. Saturn's rings are disappearing, slowly, silently, beautifully. The rings look eternal from here, but they're not. They're made mostly of ice, tiny grains, pebbles, and chunks left over from ancient moons or comets that were torn apart by Saturn's gravity. These icy pieces orbit the planet like billions of small mirrors, catching sunlight as they drift. But ring particles don't stay forever. They collide, they fragment, they scatter, and bit by bit they fall inward, pulled gently toward the planet. This slow process is called ring rain, a delicate, silent drizzle of icy grains and vapor drifting down into Saturn's upper atmosphere. Imagine that for a moment, a rain of ice falling from space, dissolving gently into the gas giant below. No thunder, no sound, just a quiet, perpetual snowfall made of ancient fragments, a cosmic snow globe, slowly emptying over millions of years. Scientists estimate that the rings could disappear entirely within a few 100 million years, a blink in cosmic time. It means that if humanity had evolved earlier or later, we might never have seen these rings at all. For us, they are a temporary wonder, a delicate moment in Saturn's long life, and yet that impermanence does not make them any less beautiful. If anything, it makes them softer, more precious, more dreamlike. From here, the rings look like translucent ribbons, some broad, some razor thin, some almost invisible. The shadows they cast across Saturn's cloud tops move slowly as the planet turns, creating patterns that drift like waves across a golden sea. The rings are quiet companions to the planet, a fragile halo slowly dissolving into the world it encircles. Let your mind rest on that image for a moment. A giant planet glowing softly, rings made of ancient ice drifting around it, and a gentle rain, invisible from here, falling endlessly into its upper atmosphere. Nothing dramatic, nothing sudden, just a slow, steady fade. And there is something soothing in that thought, in the idea that even grand, magnificent structures can change gradually, gently, without chaos. The rings are not breaking, they're not collapsing, they're simply returning to the planet, grain by grain, the way waves return to the sea. As we drift past Saturn, the rings shimmer one last time in the sunlight, thin, glowing arcs stretching across the darkness. Then they fade behind us, becoming just another quiet memory in the vast solar system. Ahead, another giant awaits, a world of storms and swirling stripes, a planet so massive it commands its own miniature solar system of moons, a planet with a storm that has raged longer than recorded history. When you're ready, we'll drift toward it as Saturn's pale golden glow slowly fades behind us. A new presence begins to rise in the dark, larger, heavier, more ancient, a world that doesn't simply exist. In the solar system, it anchors it. The light around us shifts into warm, muted bands, and gradually a massive sphere emerges, striped, swirling, alive with motion. Jupiter. From this peaceful distance, Jupiter looks like an ocean of clouds, stretching endlessly in every direction. A world of soft creams, muted reds, gentle browns, and pale yellows, layers upon layers of gases drifting, folding, rising, and sinking in a timeless, hypnotic rhythm. Jupiter doesn't have a solid surface, not in the way Earth does. Instead, it's a deep, eternal sky, a giant planet of storms and winds, where the atmosphere extends thousands of kilometers down into darkness. But the part we drift toward tonight is the most iconic feature of all, a mark so large that 3 Earths could fit across it, yet so quiet from here that it resembles nothing more than a soft, ancient swirl of color. The Great Red Spot, a storm older than any civilization on Earth. A storm that has spun in Jupiter's atmosphere for at least 300 years, and possibly far longer. A storm so powerful it creates its own soundless heartbeat in the planet's turbulent skies. From up close, the red spot isn't just red, it's a blend of terracotta, rose, salmon, and rust, all swirling together like a slow-moving watercolor. The edges curl into long, spiraling fingers. The center shifts subtly, always moving, always changing, yet always remaining itself. It is both storm and sculpture, motion and stillness, chaos and calm. And yet, despite its power, there is something deeply soothing about watching it from here. No thunder, no lightning, no roaring winds, just a vast, rotating oval drifting within bands of clouds that stretch like ribbons across the planet. A storm so huge that it becomes slow and soft when viewed from a gentle distance. The winds inside the great red spot can reach speeds of hundreds of kilometers per hour, but from where we float, they seem unhurried, a slow dance shaped by chemistry, temperature, and the deep rotation of the planet beneath. It's like watching a cosmic fingerprint change over centuries, its patterns shifting in ways too subtle for a human lifetime to fully witness. In recent decades, the great red spot has been shrinking, not in a violent collapse, but in a slow, gradual tightening, like a massive whirlpool drawing inward. Perhaps someday, far in the future, it will fade entirely, leaving behind nothing but faint color in Jupiter's clouds. But for now, it remains one of the solar system's most enduring landmarks, steady and ancient. Let your mind rest on the image, a giant world of swirling stripes, a storm larger than Earth, spinning slowly in soft red hues, a peaceful giant drifting in the cold dark, carrying a storm that has lasted longer than memory. As we drift past Jupiter, its moons circle silently, worlds in their own right, harboring oceans, volcanoes, and icy plains. But we leave them in the dark for now, continuing our quiet journey toward the distant edges where light fades and tiny, icy travelers orbit in solitude. Ahead lies a world so small and far that, for most of human history, it remained just a point of light, a tiny dot, hiding a surprising secret. When you're ready, we'll drift toward it. Beyond Pluto, the solar system becomes quieter than ever before. The sunlight has faded into something thin and delicate, like a distant memory that barely touches your skin. Space here feels older, slower, almost untouched. This is the realm of the Kuiper Belt, a vast, icy frontier filled with ancient objects that have barely changed since the solar system's earliest beginnings. But as we drift through this silent region, we pass something even more mysterious, something the size of a mountain, yet drifting alone through the dark like a forgotten ember, an interstellar object. For a long time, astronomers believed that all small bodies we observed, asteroids, comets, icy fragments, originated from our own solar system. Everything we saw belonged to the same family, shaped by the same star. But then, for the first time, something strange happened. A small, dark visitor passed through our cosmic neighborhood, and it wasn't from here. The object was named Oumuamua, a Hawaiian word meaning a messenger from afar, arriving first, and it truly lived up to that meaning. Unlike the comets and asteroids we know, this traveler had an unusual shape, long and thin, almost like a shard of rock drifting through space. It wasn't glowing with vapor the way comets do. It wasn't round like most asteroids. It spun calmly, silently, tumbling end over end in a slow, mesmerizing rotation. And its path through the solar system didn't match anything that gravity alone could explain. Something, perhaps faint gases escaping from its surface, nudged it gently as it passed by the sun. Then just as quietly as it arrived it drifted away again, disappearing back into the dark between the stars. Imagine that for a moment, a solitary traveler older than our sun, drifting for millions, maybe billions of years, passing silently through countless star systems, carrying no light, no heat, no sound, just momentum and mystery. As we float here, picture Oumuamua gliding through the blackness. It doesn't shine, it doesn't announce itself. It simply moves, patient and unhurried, like a leaf drifting on a cosmic river. It reminds us that the solar system is not isolated, that it exists in a vast, shared ocean of stars where objects come and go, crossing unimaginable distances without ever stopping. And Oumuamua wasn't the only one. Years later, another interstellar visitor appeared, Comet Borisov, whispering a similar message, that wandering objects drift between stars more often than we once believed, that space is full of travelers, that our solar system, quiet as it seems, is just one port among many in an endless cosmic sea. There's something deeply soothing about that idea, that even across light years of empty space, paths can cross, journeys can overlap, silent wanderers can drift through our view, reminding us how connected everything truly is. Let yourself rest on that thought, a lone object, older than Earth itself, passing peacefully through our neighborhood, a visitor from another star, a quiet reminder that we are part of something far larger than the orbits we see. As we drift onward, leaving the interstellar traveler behind, the solar system ahead begins to thin even further. The planets, asteroids, comets, all lie far behind us now. Ahead is the very edge of the sun's influence, the boundary where its light and gravity fade into the endless night between the stars. When you're ready, we'll go there. As we drift farther than any planet, any moon, any icy traveler, the solar system begins to stretch into a thin, quiet whisper. The sun behind us now looks less like a star and more like a bright memory, a warm dot suspended in an ocean of black. We are approaching a place so distant, so still, that light itself grows hesitant. This is not a world, or a belt, or a cluster of objects. It is a boundary, a threshold, the heliopause, the edge of the sun's protective reach. Here, the solar wind, that steady stream of charged particles flowing outward from the sun, finally grows tired. It slows, it weakens, and it meets the winds blowing from other stars. This invisible meeting place forms a vast, delicate shell around our solar system, stretching more than 18 billion kilometers from the sun. Inside the heliosphere, everything is familiar, shaped by the sun's warmth and magnetic field. Outside it lies interstellar space, a realm where nothing belongs to any star. Imagine floating here now, right at the boundary. Behind you, the solar system, a family of worlds turning quietly around their star. Ahead, an endless expanse, colder and emptier than anything yet imagined. And in this vast silence, a tiny spacecraft is waiting, or rather, continuing its slow drift. Voyager 1, launched in 1977, Voyager has traveled farther than any human-made object in history. It carries no crew, no passengers, just instruments, memories, and a golden record containing the sounds of Earth, greetings in dozens of languages, ocean waves, birdsong, the hum of life. For more than 4 decades, it has been moving steadily outward, propelled by nothing but momentum and the pull of gravity from ancient planetary flybys. And now, in this quiet region, Voyager has already crossed into interstellar space. a small piece of humanity drifting in the space between stars, still sending faint signals home, still whispering across the void, still moving forward. As we drift beside it, imagine placing a hand on its cold metal frame, not to steer it or change it, but simply to acknowledge its journey. Voyager is tiny compared to planets and stars, yet its mission is one of the most poetic ever undertaken: to carry a message into the unknown, hoping that someday someone or something might listen. There is something peaceful about the idea. A tiny craft drifting in a sea of darkness, a silent messenger carrying the sounds of a distant blue world. And here at the heliopause, the solar wind quiets into stillness. The pressure of interstellar particles pushes gently against the last breath of the sun's influence. This is where our solar system ends, not with a boundary you can see, but with a subtle balancing of forces, a whisper-thin frontier where one domain ends and another begins. Let your mind rest on that image: a fading star behind you, an infinite darkness ahead, a small spacecraft drifting peacefully through the border of two realms. It reminds us that exploration doesn't always require speed or force. Sometimes it is simply the act of moving forward, inch by inch, year by year, through the quiet. Sometimes the journey itself, long, slow, and silent, is the purpose. As we drift past Voyager, the solar system stretching behind us like a distant dream, take one last breath here at the edge. Let the calm of this place settle into you. Let the stillness wrap around your thoughts. Let the gentle, endless dark remind you that even in the vast emptiness, there is wonder. And just like Voyager, you too can carry a little light from this journey forward, into your night, into your dreams, into whatever lies beyond this moment. Good night, traveler. May the quiet of the cosmos follow you into sleep.